Entrepreneurs have a really weird talent. We can work for months without paying ourselves. We can work for months without taking any kind of break, let alone focusing on extended self care. We build things, we help people, we learn new skills all the time. We wear so many hats, right? We are a solo team. And yet, we can convince ourselves that we have made absolutely no progress. And this is something that I have been doing a lot of lately, like a disgusting amount. So, today we're going to be talking about that very overdue conversation about progress, guilt, a little bit of inspiration, and how it's time that us entrepreneurs give ourselves positive performance reviews. Hello, my beautiful entrepreneurs. My name is Tabitha, and welcome to A Hot Mess Builds an Empire. I help day one entrepreneurs take that first terrifying leap into business ownership without completely losing their minds in the process. This channel is for people who are standing on the edge of something marvelously big, wondering if they are absolutely unhinged for even considering it. Today, we're going to be talking about progress, and we're going to be talking about it positively. Okay? Okay. So, I just want to provide some context as to how I got to the meat and potatoes of this episode, because there are sort of two different instances of things that happened this week and in the last couple days that sort of gave me a very amazing mindset shift. And I want to share that with you because I think it's something that we really struggle with as entrepreneurs, especially when we're first starting out and we feel like we're flailing, we feel like we're failing, we feel like we're not far along as other people, and we play the comparison game and there's tons of guilt. And we need to have this conversation about progress. We really do. So the first thing that happened is you can go back and look at the videos if you're interested. I did some videos about your first hire, your first website, Pinterest strategy, and that required some research. It required me digging into my blog, which I haven't been active on in a couple of years. I'm active on my website in terms of the pages and like updating the maintenance aspect of it, plugins and things of that nature, but I haven't really like dived into my website, right? And I was in my website looking at everything I had set up, all the processes I had in place for when I was truly just a blogger. I looked up old archived posts. I was looking up my old Pinterest strategy and the tools I was using and old SEO breadcrumbs of all things and shares on posts and traffic on posts. And I was looking all this stuff and I was like, this is 10 years of my blog because it turned 10 years old in January of this year. And I was amazed at myself. It was really good. I got really good at being a blogger and there was this moment where you want to be a little bit cringed out by, your beginning work, right? Where you're just like, "Oh god, like look at how you wrote that. Look at the picture of you. Look at this. Look at like you just want to like be a turtle for a second and just slouch down into your shell and just, oh God, that's so cringe." Or you can look at someone who was trying. And I was. Not only was I was trying to do it well. And I got to a point where I was doing it well. And it took me 10 years to look at that progress and go, hey, you knew stuff. You were doing a really good job with your blog and you never said anything to yourself about it. So that's thing the first, right? That's the first thing that happened this past week where I was just like, I'm really good at this. I have a skill set that helps my business. I built very efficient, streamlined processes for blogging. I built very efficient, streamlined processes for my Pinterest strategy. I had hired people to help me learn stuff. I had hired people to help me get better at it so the foundation was good so I could do it on my own later. Like I had done all these things. I invested in myself and it worked. That investment in myself paid off. And there was literally a 10-year timeline from a girl who was trying, and I say girl because I was quite young, right? Like to a woman who was making shit happen. And it's just never once did I stop and go, hey, you did a really great job with your website. You did a really great job with your blog. Look at that traffic. Look at those shares. Look at the people you've potentially helped with your blog. Not once. Not once. Now, I want to talk about progress sort of in general. On Thursday or Friday, I was really in my thoughts, mostly because of the week of research I had been doing. And I was really thinking a lot about progress and progress with this YouTube journey I started, progress with my website, maybe potentially diving back into the blog more actively because it there was this weird nostalgia that had overwhelmed me in a very positive way that I missed blogging. I love writing. I consider myself the queen of chaotic storytelling, right? And I love telling stories and it's part of who I am. It's in my blood, it's in my genes, it's in my culture, everything. Everything is about storytelling to me. And to constantly go into process in place and streamline. And if you guys have been here and seen my videos, I'm always talking about make sure you have your processes in place so your foundation is really good so you can create later. And I think sometimes I get so focused on the processes in place and the efficiency for myself that I do forget about the fun and creation. And I was thinking about progress and self realization and self respect and self esteem and self confidence and all the selves, right? And I realized all those things also when we talk about progress are very much attached to guilt. And right, like I was really sitting in my thoughts about this and not like in a heavy I'm very depressed about my progress kind of way, just thinking about it. And a very dear friend of mine called me and she started to talk to me about some personal things. I'm not going to share her stuff online. And she started talking about her progress. And I was like, it's so funny, dude, that you were calling me about progress because I've been thinking about this all day. And it just kind of felt like the universe was reaching out and was like, wake up. This is okay to have this conversation. This is me being extremely unsubtle with you right now that you need to share this. You need to put this out in the open. But we talked about guilt. We talked about guilt as women. We talked about guilt as women entrepreneurs. We talked about guilt with parenting, guilt with our families, guilt with sometimes you put too much into your business and not enough into your family. Guilt that you're putting too much into your family and not enough into your business because if you put more time into your business, you would then overall be helping your family for the future, right? Like that weird vicious cycle we put ourselves through as entrepreneurs where, well, if I invest the time in now for this, it will provide better life for this. But the memories of, oh, hit the microphone, it's now an episode. But if I miss out on the memories and I miss out on this, and then up comes the age old question of what is time well spent, right? It started to get very philosophical. But the fact that my friend called me to talk about progress with me just showed me it's something I needed to dive into a little bit more. And just to go back to my hook of this episode, entrepreneurs, we have so many talents. We are very skilled people. Do we like doing all the things that we do? No, probably not. You don't have to like everything that it is that you do, but there are a lot of things you have to do when you are a solo team. And but we just have this weird talent of creating things, building things, always looking ahead, always wishing we were further along, always thinking we should have been further along. And yet we oftentimes fail to stop and look behind us and acknowledge the progress. When I was sitting there looking through my blog, I was like, look at what I did. Look at this progress. Look at how amazing this is. And I also had the realization now in my full-time job, I am in logistics. I am a leader in logistics. And I go through Kaizens, I go through Gembas, I go through the Lean Six Sigma training. I am very data driven in my day job. Everything is about data. Everything is about if this is the outcome, that's the outcome. Here's the data that we use to fix it. Here's where we tweak something. Here's lessons learned. Here's how we get better. Here's our skills. Here's our growth. As a leader, I can only hope that my people think that I am very good at being their leader, right? But I know that I'm a very engaged leader. I talk to people about their lives, not just work, because I think that's important. I communicate with them about everything that's going on, and I'm very transparent. Like, here's the why behind what it is that we're doing. I think people want to know to be invested in their job, right? Like, I'm very invested in my team and I want to make sure that they're developed. And, you know, I, side story, I once had a team member who was not doing very well at work. And when I was talking to her about, because I'm in production, I was talking to her about her productivity numbers and how can I help? What can I do? And the whole thing was that she was mentally bogged down, that she didn't understand how to fill out her FAFSA forms. She wanted to go to culinary school so bad, but she had to pay her rent. She needed health insurance because, hashtag capitalism in America. And it was just everything outside of work was really bogging her down. So, you know what I did? I helped her fill out her FAFSA. I helped her get into culinary school. I mean, which was all her. I just helped her fill out the forms kind of thing. And she baked me a cake to say thank you. But that's what I do for my people, is I want them to know that I care about them, because I also don't want to be in production for the rest of my life. And I get that. I totally and completely get that. So why do I put this energy into other people and helping people at my job and giving them the support that it is that they need to be successful in whatever it is that they want to be successful in? And I cannot do that for myself when it comes to my business and me being an entrepreneur. And man, did that, it felt like I got hit with a brick in the face, because I was like, I pride myself on trying to be the best leader that I possibly can for people at my full time job. And yet I cannot be a good leader to myself. And that was a really crappy feeling. So I decided to try something different. And the exercise took way longer than I thought it would, because especially myself, I can't speak for you, but I say we because I know so many entrepreneurs, we think so similarly, that to sit down and give myself a positive only performance review was the most difficult thing that I've done in a very long time. I wasn't allowed to critique, I wasn't allowed to provide any type of constructive feedback, no criticism, no negativity, only positive things. Because you want to sit there and we move the goalpost on ourselves, right? We're constantly saying, how can you be bigger? How can you be better? How can you be more efficient? But I sat there and I was like, okay, for the last quarter, because, I things have evolved so much over 10 years of having a business, that I wasn't going to do like, what are you most proud of over the last 10 years, right? I was like, let's do the quarter. It's March, let's do the first quarter of the year. What are you most proud of this quarter? What have you learned this quarter? Now, what did you do to get more efficient this quarter? And then the last one that really, I just asked myself questions, right? Who did you help? And I was like, oh, this question. So I wrote a list of people that I've helped this last quarter. And the list wasn't long. And I'm not trying to say that to be negative, right? I'm just being realistic, because that's part of this process. The list wasn't long, but I helped people. I helped people with their businesses. I helped people with questions that they had. I helped people with the direction of things. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of my business, is to be helping people, and to focus on that for just a minute and say, "Hey, congratulations. You helped people this quarter." There was no $1 million contracts, no massive revenue streams, but I helped people. And granted, yes, we all want a payday, right? Like, I'm not saying that there is no money want involved. I would be very unrealistic if I was saying that we don't want money because we all deserve to have the life that we would like to have. But the helping thing, I don't acknowledge who it is that I help. I don't acknowledge that I'm helping people. I don't look at the progress of who it is that I'm helping. Like before, it was listicles online of what to pack. And then it transformed into okay, there's listicles online of what to pack for certain countries, or, this is what I learned when I was packing for Costa Rica versus Iceland, like two completely different locations. And then it was, I was helping people with photography, and I never really stopped to acknowledge that. And then I sort of transitioned into helping people learn about women's history, and I never stopped to acknowledge that. And now I'm starting to morph into more storytelling. Of course, the storytelling aspect is still there, but now I'm starting to help day one entrepreneurs with everything that I've learned over the last 10 years of owning my own business. Like, why am I not sitting here acknowledging, like, why would you teach day one entrepreneurs if you didn't have anything to teach them, if you didn't have any way to help them grow, if you didn't have any way to help them be successful, and just having that open realization with myself, like maybe you subconsciously know you're helping people, or hey, I can do this to, you know, the pain points, right? Like those key phrases as an entrepreneur. What is the problem I am solving? Here's this pain point I can help you with. But no, just here are the people I helped, and just switching that narrative completely stopped me in my tracks and turned into a 40-page workbook that I created about self reflection and a positive performance review. Now, I'm not going to lie, I did not set out to write a workbook. And I'm also not really like a workbooky person. I'm more of like an e-booky person. I sat down and I dived into things that I have built, things that I have learned. What am I most proud of this quarter? And then I was like, give yourself an achievement award. Do it. Print out an award, put it on your wall, and say, hey, this last quarter, you, you beautiful hot mess, made some progress. You did good. And I was like, here's something that other entrepreneurs need. We do. We need it. So I do want to introduce Hot Mess to Progress. And it's this quarterly positive review where you sit down and you give yourself the time every quarter to review your progress. And there are a couple questions in there like lessons learned, but it's meant to be, hey, I learned this with SEO, and I'm not going to do that again because that didn't help, but I learned this and now this is going to get better and this is going to help this, right? Like it's meant to be positive, not sitting there going like, well, I messed this up and I said the wrong thing to the wrong client, and I posted on Instagram only 15 times instead of the planned 20 times. Like none of that. None of that is allowed to be part of your positive performance review. This is not about critiquing. This is not about what you missed. This is not about where you think you failed. This is about acknowledging you as an awesome entrepreneur, making progress with your business, making progress with yourself, your skill sets, your efficient processes that you've put in place, all the things. It's about that. That's what this is about. So, Hot Mess to Progress is available at the link leads to my stand store that is in the YouTube description. It's just $7, and it's to just help you positively reflect. And yes, at the end, yes, thank you so much for asking, because I know that you're sitting there asking, Tabby, do I also get an Entrepreneur Achievement Award like you gave yourself? Yes, at the end. And honor system here, folks. You do the workbook first, and there is an award for you at the end for the quarter to put on your wall. And what I would love so much is just print it out, put it on your wall, and send me a picture on Instagram or wherever it is that you find me. Let me know. I want to see you guys congratulating yourselves on doing a job well done. We just so often look back and go like, I'm just so glad I'm not there anymore, that we don't look back and we go, look at all the things that I went through to get here. and give ourselves credit for that strength. Give ourselves credit for learning, give ourselves credit for increasing, skill sets and getting to the next level. And the mindset needs to shift to be a successful entrepreneur. But also, even when we are successful, we still need that mindset of like, we should be respectful of our past selves because without them, we wouldn't have gotten here. I have been very disrespectful to my past self by not giving any credit to her at all. I have been hoarding the credit, I consider myself a very good leader at my full time job for other people. And now I'm going to work on being a very good leader for my business, for myself. And I deserve that. I deserve to be a very good boss to me. I'm a hard worker. I'm good at what it is that I do. And I deserve to sit there and I know that I tell people, hey, make sure you give yourself a high five at the end of the day. But maybe it needs to be deeper than that. Maybe it needs to be, you know what? I'm going to give you homework. I'm hit the microphone again. I'm giving you homework. Sometime this week, give yourself 15 minutes. Just put 15 minutes on a timer. I know that our time can be usually very tight, especially when we're working full-time jobs and families and school, and I get that. If you can find 15 minutes to just have a quiet moment this week, I want you to give yourself a positive performance review. Just real quick, write out, this is what I built this quarter. This is what I learned this quarter. And here's who I helped this quarter. And I just want you to sit there and think about that. So I'm not saying you have to sit here and buy my $7 workbook, which I hope you do because I put it together and I think it's very helpful. But just do that for yourself. Give yourself a positive performance review. It's okay. It's okay. I've said this in other videos, is to make sure you're betting on yourself, even on the most difficult day, especially on the most difficult day. Bet on yourself, invest in yourself, invest in your company's growth, invest in your success. This is going to sound really corny, and I'm not very good with corny. So do not be afraid to inspire yourself by your own progress. This past week, I felt very inspired by myself. The work that I have done, the blood, sweat, tears, literally all of it, the blood, sweat, tears that I have gone into traveling and blogging and photography and building a business and building podcasts and having a newsletter and Substack and like all these things that I've done over the years. I've put so much of myself into these things, so much passion and hope and all these positive things that I have never sat down and acknowledged because I was too worried about vanity metrics or being better or comparing myself to other entrepreneurs who were kind of getting quicker traction or whatever, right? Sometimes the proof that you are capable of building something great is sitting right there in the history of what you've already done. And I just don't think we sit with that enough. We're just so busy sometimes chasing perfection and moving that end goal constantly on ourselves that we just don't sit there and go, look at her. She got to here. This is her is this is her. Her is her. She did so good. She got here. And okay, you are allowed to have goals and you are allowed to sit there and go, okay, I am not there where I want to be yet, but I am getting there. And that mindset shift has been amazing for me this week. And is it going to be difficult to carry that mindset forward? Of course it is. For 10 years, I've been telling myself I'm terrible at what it is that I do and I do a bad job. And for the longest time, these YouTube videos started off with, I have absolutely no idea what it is that I'm doing. That was my intro. Hey, welcome. I have absolutely no idea what it is that I'm doing, but I'm doing it. And that's just so wrong. And that's why I changed my introduction, because I am helping day one entrepreneurs, because I have been a day one entrepreneur and I know how much it sucks, but I know how wonderful it is too. And you're going to see that everything that it is that I learn, I just keep adding different things to my videos and doing different things so that I can help you and so I can help myself too. So hopefully that was a little inspirational for you, a little corny maybe. And I'm not very good with corny and I'm not very good with inspirational. I've said this before in videos, but man, bet on yourself. especially on the hard days, because you are doing a really good job. And you need to tell yourself that. Because the more you tell yourself that and the more you look at your progress and go, wow, look at this progress, the more you're going to start to believe it. Because this week I made myself believe it. I did. One last thing before we go. Hot Mess Triage is open. It is my business coaching call thing that I started at the request of you guys. Some of you reached out to me and were like, hey, would you be willing to open up your calendar and be a business coach? And it took some convincing, but you guys convinced me. So you can also find that in the link in my Stan store, in my YouTube description. I think I used too many ends. You can find that at the link in my YouTube description that goes to my Stan store. I think that's a little bit better. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.